autarkia. When you analyze what he meant by autarkia, because he said a polis, a good polis is an autarkic polis, autarkic. Then when you see what he means by autarky, this is more biopolitical than political. It concerns things which for us now concern the economy.
What was that word again, sir?
Huh?
The Greek word?
Autarkia. Self-sufficient, but not in our modern sense. It's a perfect, self-sufficient. But then when we analyze what it meant, it's no more purely political. It implies a lot of what we would perceive as biopolitical. Then the problem of slaves is a great problem that must be thought in a completely different way that it has been thought by our modern liberal tradition, our slavery is or it's much more complex and concerned precisely is very deep, fundamental political conceptions. It's not at all that Greeks were bad men, human beings. Not at all. It's the metaphysical problem that is involved there. And metaphysics and the politics must always be seen together. There is a very strict link between metaphysics and politics. So if you separate, then you lose this idea, and the problem of slavery becomes ununderstandable. How could people like the ancient Greek, marvelous person who had this marvelous art, how could be so cruel? I don't know if we will have the time to touch this point. But the correct way to understand is to put them in the biopolitical perspective. So briefly. But then now it's impossible to begin the problem of subjectivity because we only have 10 minutes. So let's go on if you have any question on what we say today.
Would it be appropriate, from our historical perspective now, as in the present, to look at Greek thought as primitive, and to reconfigure it in its structural importance to the way we configure our world today? Because and the reason that I'm asking that question is that when we can take all the concepts and language that Aristotle generated and the categorical way he dealt with just about everything, and say that has been projected, has been carried forward for thousands of years. But the question is it still relevant? And the world today is so fundamentally different that I wonder why we keep going back thousands of years as a starting point to try and figure out how to fix the present. When all we seem to do is identify massive structural problems arising out of mainstreams of thought rooted thousands of years ago.
That's what I referred when I spoke about archaeology. So in a way, I both agree and not agree with you, because this, when you make an archaeology, so you go back to a certain point. Let's say in this case Aristotle, but could be Descartes, could be Derrida. What are you doing there? You are not implying that this is the cause of that. So it's not archaic in the sense of cause. Will you be able to understand the present without going back to this? I think no. That's why, otherwise the journalist would be the best, the most proper person to understand the present. Or a journalist, let's not speak about him. So, why? Because he doesn't understand anything of what he sees. He sees everything, does not understand it. So, the question is not relevant. You are right in a way, this is not the cause. If a man arrives, now we have this because Aristotle said this. If I gave this impression, suppose I want to say, only doing this, I understand the present. So, through this distinction, I better understand how modern medicine works. But, of course, Aristotle is not really the cause. There is an influence, sure, there is a process of transmission of culture, but then this is discontinuous. There is a tradition and it stops. So it's not the cause, but when we do an archaeology or a genealogy, we find a paradigm to understand the present. But I don't think any other way, because if you trust only sociologists and journalists, you are lost. The other way would be, yes, the most competent are sociologists and journalists, or economists. We have seen this is not true. These are not sciences, these are fake sciences. So we have, the only way, in my opinion, is to go back. Then there is, for instance, another way, I worked a lot in the last years in law, juridical problem, but also in theology. So people ask, why do you work on theology? I don't work on theology because I think that theology is the most important thing. Of course, apparently today it has no importance at all. So it's not relevant in the sense you said. But because I saw that in theology I could for the first time understand, for instance, what is governance. The last book I wrote is about the genealogy of the paradigm of governance. Government is very relevant. What we have now is government. The politics is reduced to the problem of government. Yeah, but why? How did it happen? How can I do? What is a government? In what a government is different from politics? Is it implied? Is it part of it? What is governance? And the only I could understand it only. Time to explain why working on the problem of the theological problem of the divine government of the world, the providence, the paradigm of providence. God governed for centuries. Our culture thought that God in some way governs the world. Governs, not determines. It's not intervening. Because to govern means also to let it go. Providence is a strange mechanism that both acts and leaves its internal laws. So, in this way, I think I understood, I could try a definition of governance. Now, I'm not saying that Bush comes from St. Thomas of Aquin. No. But reading the treatise on St. Thomas of Aquin, I understood better Bush, or even angelology. In order to understand what bureaucracy is, you have to read the treatise on angelology, the angelic hierarchy, where you discover that all our vocabulary, minister, hierarchy, how you say in English? Hierarchy. Where does this word come here? Minister. Ministry, I say ministry in English. Why we say ministry of law, ministry of law? Comes from the angels. It's a concept because the angels are the minister of divine governance. Through the angels, God governs the world. So all the vocabulary of public administration comes from them. In this case, there is a determination. Really, the term comes from there. It doesn't mean that this then determines it, but makes it possible to understand. So I don't know if that's clear. So it's not the cause, it's the paradigm to understand. Then there is a lot of link, a lot of influence, but this concerns the historians. Then an historian will come and will make a history of the concept of and show the link, the discontinuity, the continuity. But for me it's different. I only try to I look for a paradigm which will allow me to understand the present. So, we continue tomorrow? Today we have to go off.